Acharya Soter Srimad. His Divine Grace of Acharya Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. His confounder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki. Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jai. Okay. Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome. So tomorrow is the holy appearance of Lord Balaram Ji. So we're having a celebration. In the morning, we'll be hearing class by Hero Prabhu. And in the afternoon or in the late morning, 11 o'clock, we're going to meet again. Hear some more Balaram Katha, do an arti, have a very nice Lord Balaram feast. So for that reason, me and Dero switched days. He likes to give classes on appearance days. He's very good at it also. So today we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, text number 48. Om Ajnatamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurue Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parina Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Ishwari Vishubhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhana Namane Ashesha Klesha Nashaya Paramananda Daine Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mare Kabando Matsangin Madguru Manmadana Madnistaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostite Asaru Sadhu Tadayan Ajinitro Chatakara Namuncha Karachinmam Premna Ritkatayospura Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamadira Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Udamashloke Bhakti Bhakti Naishtaki. Text Swamlokam Navirustevai Yatra Devo Janardana Ahodumra Dio Vedam Sakarmakam Atadvida Swalokam Navirustevai Yatra Devo Janardana Ahodumra Dio Vedam Sakarmakam Atadvida Swam Lokam Navirustevai Yatra Devo Janardana Ahodumra Dio Vedam Sakarmakam Atadvida. Hello. Swalokam Navirustevai Yatra Devo Janardana Ahodumra Dio Vedam Sakarmakam Atadvida. Swam lokam navirustevai. Yatra devo janardana. Aho dumra dio vedam. Sakarma kamatadvida. Swam lokam navirustevai. Yatra devo janardana. Aho dumra dio vedam. Sakarma kamatadvida. Swam, own, lokam, abode, na, never, vidu, no, te, such persons, vai, certainly, yatra, where, devaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardanaha, Krishna or Vishnu, Ahu, speak, Dumradiyaha, the less intelligent class of men, Vedam, the four Vedas, Sakarmakam, full of ritualistic ceremonies, Atat Vidaha, persons who are not in knowledge. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Those who are less intelligent accept the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies as all in all. They do not know that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand one's own home, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives. Not being interested in their real home, they are illusioned and search after other homes. Purport. Generally, people are not aware of their interest in life, to return home back to Godhead. People do not know about their real home in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there are many Vaikuntha planets, and the topmost planet is Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavana. Despite the so-called advancement of civilization, there is no information of the Vaikuntha Lokas. The spiritual planets, At the present moment, so-called advanced civilized men are trying to go to other planets. But they do not know that even if they go to the highest planetary system, Brahmaloka, they have to come back again to this planet. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 8:16. Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avartinorjuna mamupetya tukunteya punar janma navidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. If one goes to the highest planetary system within this universe, he still has to return after the effects of pious activities are finished. Space vehicles may go very high in the sky, but as soon as their fuel is finished, they have to return to this earthly planet. All these activities are performed in illusion. The real attempt should now be to return home, back to Godhead. This process is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti mad yajinopimam. Those who engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead return home, back to Godhead. Human life is very valuable, and one should not waste in vain exploration of other planets. One should be intelligent enough to return to Godhead. One should be interested in information about the spiritual Vaikuntha planets, and in particular the planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, and should learn the art of going there by the simple method of devotional service, beginning with hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 3, Text 51. Kaler dosha nide rajan asti hyeko mahan guna kirtanareva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. One can go to the planet, the supreme planet, Param Brajet, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. This is especially meant for people of this age, Kalar Dosha Nidhe. It is a special advantage of this age that simply by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become purified of all material contamination and return home back to Godhead. There is no doubt about this. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Prachadade Nirvishesha Shandivadi Pastadeshatade. Namaste Jivanandaya Dasaya Vanacharine Prabhupada Balabhaya Srinasi Lavanuni Agyana Dvanta Gamanam Pashtati Tatmanam Jnana Guruteya Chita Harine Chakshashe Namaha. Swam lokam navidusteva yatra devo janardana ahordum radio vedam sakarma kamatat vida. Those who are less intelligent accept the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies as all in all. They do not know that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand one's own home where the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives, not being interested in their real home, their illusion, and search after other homes. So the point being made by Narada Muni, which is a point that has been made by many gurus that are following the footsteps of Narada Muni that are coming in the parampara, is we have to make this point very clear. This is not our home. Many people ask the question, why is the world suck so bad? It's a common question. Because this is not our home. You cannot be comfortable in a place that's not your home. And we don't come to a prison to enjoy. That point was made to me in the very beginning of my devotional service. You don't come to the prison house for enjoyment. It's not a place someone goes for enjoyment. So why should we try to extract enjoyment out of this material world? And so because we're conditioned by the modes, we find various ways and means to extract enjoyment, whether in the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, or the mode of ignorance. And so generally, devotees or those who come in contact with Krishna consciousness, we start to kind of get a sour taste for gross types of enjoyment. What are those gross types of enjoyment? Meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling. And these things become not so nice for someone who is advancing in the mode of goodness. By following the prescribed method of living, one comes to a higher stage of enjoyment. Based on whatever mode we're in, we're going to enjoy accordingly. Someone in the mode of ignorance enjoys sleeping. They enjoy being lazy. They enjoy intoxicating. They enjoy the feelings associated with anger and wrath. This is their type of enjoyment. They enjoy subjugating others. Those in the mode of passion greatly enjoy sexuality, money-making, opulences, so forth. Those in the mode of goodness enjoy simplicity, good interactions, peacefulness, knowledge, poetry, science. These types of things are all various types of enjoyments given by the modes of material nature based on how we become conditioned by them. Gunakarna sango syat. Because you've associated with those modes, sadasad, you take births in many different types of wombs. Sadasad yoni janmashu, both good and evil wombs. So we're going about our business, enjoying these various modes. But this is not at all satisfying for the conditioned soul, because this is not our home. And so an intelligent person, someone who has serious brain substance, makes an inquiry into as why am I not happy? If we can just come out of the mode of ignorance enough to realize that, looking at my phone all day or whatever nonsense I'm into is not going to please me, then we can inquire, how do I become genuinely happy? What is it I have to do to become genuinely happy? And if I can, by knowledge, begin to conceive what is actual happiness, then I can become inspired to achieve such happiness. So we have to know who Krishna is. We have to know all the information about Krishna. Because, we can be kind of the, just the blind religious follower, and, we hear, if I believe in Christ, then I'm going to be saved. I have no purpose or obligation. And that, that of course is not the full picture of what Christianity is teaching, and not the full picture of God consciousness in any way, shape, or form. Christ was teaching us things that we have to follow, and Christ died to teach those teachings, and therefore by accepting Christ and his death, because he died to give those things, one is actually elevated in their consciousness. But just saying, I'm saved, this is not sufficient to actually save you. So we hear of the born again type. They are born again after death, and again and again. So this is not the genuine spiritual understanding. Or we can be the intelligent type and think, okay, I'm not going to look at any shastras, but by my logic, I can understand God exists. I can understand there is a supreme absolute truth, and he must be everywhere and everything. Problem is somehow or another, everywhere and everything still isn't satisfying to me. So when you get genuine information about Krishna, about the personality of Godhead, that he is Satchidananda, he is full of knowledge and bliss, he is Suridam Sarvabhutanam, he's your best friend, he loves you, he cares about you, then we develop an attachment for him. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, mata sarvavartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service with love, with their whole heart. So therefore, we have to perfectly understand Krishna's position as the personality of Godhead. And so this verse Narada Muni is explaining, he's basically giving a explanation as to those who follow the Vedas but are less intelligent. They accept rituals, they like the cool looks, they like to wear the robes, they like to do the fire yagyas, they like to put on their tilaks, whatever, you know, and look very religious. But they're not actually accepting or tasting the essence. This is the difference between someone just a religious person and someone who is actually spiritual. And we find, not in the United States as much because we're predominantly Protestant Christians. But you go to other countries, you go to countries that are like, or even in India, you'll see people that are Islamic, or people that are Jewish, or people that are, Hindu, and they dress a certain way. They all have their, little curly hairs and their hats and their, little Jewish garbs. But, when you actually speak with them, there's not very much depth of the spirituality. And this is how they dress. This is their culture. This is my religion. And the same with the Islamic. I just do it, but I'm not really tasting the roots of spirituality. Now, I'm not saying that all of them are like that. And then also Hindus. I'm a Brahmana. I have a thread. I got to get my thread at 12 years old. Although I don't really have any knowledge of Krishna or any experience of Krishna. I'm not chanting 16 rounds. So we have this is all religious activity. And not that it's condemned, it actually creates a sense of piety. But this is not the human life. This is not the goal of human life. This is not the experience that Krishna wants you to have. You have the opportunity to have a beautiful experience. So they're attracted to all these things. They do not know that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand one's own home where the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives. So Krishna says, Vaideshta Sharviraham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Kridveda Vedeva Chaham. Out of all the Vedas, I am to be known. I am the compiler of the Vedas and the knower of Vedanta. So all the Vedic literatures, and that means all scriptures actually, out of all the scriptures, the conclusion is Vedanta. And he's the knower of the Vedas anyways, and he's the goal of the Vedas. So the goal of all of this activity, all your meditations, all of your, chanting, all of your going to the temple, going to the church, whatever it is, spiritual activity you're doing, the goal of it all is to achieve Krishna. This is not something generally done in one lifetime. It's done in many lifetimes. Of course, we are having the opportunity to go back to Godhead in one lifetime. But we've come to this full, how many lifetimes, or what did we do before to come to this, Lord Chaitanya's, Srila Prabhupada's presentation, which is complete and perfect. Bahunam janmanam ante gyanavan mam prapadyate vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma sadirlabha. After many births and deaths, one who actually is in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be everything. Vasudevam sarvamiti, everything. Everything is Krishna. Sa mahatma sadirlabha, but that's very rare. So don't be one of the common, be one of the rare. So we should understand that the scriptures and the Vedas, they're tools for us, but it's useless if we don't know the function of a tool. Like if I give you a tool, but you don't know what the tool does, the tool becomes useless. So it's like when we give the Vedas to people, because people, oh, I read the Vedas, I read the Mahabharata, and I'm studying the Puranas and the aliens and so many different things they'll come up with, but they don't know the goal. So what benefit do they get? They get a cool form of entertainment at best. They get to entertain themselves for a while. Or, I feel good because I meditate, I feel good. But you don't know the goal, which is Krishna, to have this love with Krishna. So each mode tricks us into a type of complacency. And this is the problem, is we become complacent in our spiritual lives. So the mode of goodness makes us complacent because we become happy. I'm happy and I have knowledge. Why should I endeavor to actually seriously perform devotional service? I'm happy. Why should I do anything spiritual? But still you take birth again. Now that doesn't sound so bad, because we say it sounds bad, but if we actually knew how bad it is, we wouldn't be messing around in our Krishna consciousness at all. I was thinking about that because we don't understand how beautiful the spiritual world is. And we don't understand we don't perceive the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. We don't perceive how much suffering is here because someone in the mode of goodness is living a good life. We're not actually perceiving how dark it can get. Because we know some people, they perceive a lot of suffering, right? Some people have suffered a lot, even in this room. And for them, it's like very easy, like, I'm done. Mode of ignorance makes us complacent by, I'm sleepy, I'm lazy, I don't have any energy, I'm just lethargic to perform actual bhakti, to actually have love for Krishna and want to do something for Krishna. Rather, I just want to satisfy my senses in a very mundane and dull way, living me very meagerly. I can be happy if I can just have this basic material facility and be able to do what I want, which is not very much, Lord. It's not very much. I'm not asking for much. Just have some mundane, meager facility. Then I'm happy. I'm not going to go out of my way to actually express love. So you're going to miss out on real happiness. And passion. I'm too busy to perform any type of bhakti. I'm too absorbed in the thought of material enjoyment that I'm going to get from all this, and to maintain the beautiful material enjoyment I already have. I'm too busy to actually do some activity, to actually dedicate some time and energy to Krishna. So there's one purport Prabhupada says, we should be captivated by such descriptions of the spiritual world, because this isn't our home. Like a fish out of water can't be happy. So you should be captivated by the spiritual world. And sometimes I think devotees lose that. New devotees have it more than others, but not all new devotees, depending on their background. Like when I remember thinking, when I asked my Guru Maharaj for initiation, it was a very intense moment. I don't want to get into the details, but I've shared with many of you. It's kind of a very spiritual experience. But one of the things he said was, oh, you will be seeing Krishna very soon. And, we can take that sentimentally, but actually when the spiritual master tells you that, and based on Shastra, based on the Shastra, if we understand and we do the process correctly, you will see Krishna face to face. You will experience Krishna. Even before you see him face to face, you'll experience Krishna in such profound ways that becomes sustaining. It becomes ecstatic. Life becomes just totally full of joy and bliss and happiness and enthusiasm, because you're experiencing Krishna. It's a festival of Krishna every day. So that kind of reality and having that understanding that I will, at the time of leaving this body, if I take to this process properly, achieve the end goal, which is going back to Godhead. This is very sweet. We should be captivated by this. But it takes mode of goodness, right? So we described that the modes, they affect our ability to see. Someone in the mode of ignorance thinks something is happiness, which is not happiness. They're happy with intoxicating, drinking poisons, putting, like if you see an animal doing something like, drinking some type of like breathing in like smoke from a fire, you think this animal's very sick. This is actually like some type of mental disturbance. And so humans, they do so many weird things, like let me, take poison and become actually sick and feel like this is some type of enjoyment. This is the mode of ignorance, thinking. The mode of passion makes you think that this beautiful body, which is actually not beautiful. It's beautiful in its position. It's beautiful in the sense that God created it and it has a service and has a purpose. But from the objective point of view, you go a centimeter into the body, it's not beautiful. It's something you'd actually, you bring out the, cleaning supplies, spit and all these things. But then the mode of passion is always very nice. Very nice. It's the way mode of passion works. When Brahmachari Mayapur, he said, he was pretty much engaged in raising brahmacharis, for many years. That was his service. It's like a training brahmachari. And they have their struggles, and he said the classic, Prabhu, it's just the body, it's all kinds of abominable things and substances. Oh, Prabhu, but it's arranged so nicely. It's arranged so nicely. So the mode of passion tricks us into thinking that this rasa between bodies is very attractive and sweet and enjoyable. But of course it's not. It has its purpose, which is glorious. Its purpose, the mode of ignorance has its purpose too, which is also glorious. But it in itself is not glorious. It's glorious in its purpose. As the whole, it's sacred in its purpose. So the mode of passion has its purpose, which is, of course, producing children, maintaining society, maintaining commerce, these types of things in the service of Krishna, of course. It has its purpose, but on its own is not glorious. So then the mode of goodness makes us think that if I'm a good person, which we hear this a lot, I'm a good person, and I understand I'm not this body, and this, I'm good. They understand this. We had a guy with us the other day. He said, a lot. We ask him spiritual questions. He'd go, I understand, but I'm not going to do anything or change anything because I'm doing good. I don't really need to chant Hare Krishna because I'm good. So I'm not perceiving the fact that this is a temporary situation. So what to speak of those in the heavenly planets? So in this way we become, unable to see. But when we have the mode of goodness enough to be able to see things as they are, we see mating for what it is. We see eating for what it is. We see all these activities in the material world working for what it is. And we understand what is the goal. Right? So like working, we all work. Everybody has to work or do some type of work in the world. Even the brahmacharis, we're also working. So somehow or other we're all working. But we see that the work is just, if I'm not working directly for Krishna, it's just work. It's just so that I can focus on my real goal, which is Krishna. It's not like, I gotta have my big dream and I gotta be a rock star and the mode of passion starts in. And then mating, it's what it is. It's children and raising children and the attraction is there. It is what it is. It's not like, big glorious thing. Everybody's doing it. Everything's doing it. Even the plants are doing it. It's not super glorious. Sleeping, see it for what it is. We see that, one time I had this friend and she was staying with she went to stay with her friend and they were mediators. And they were like trying to kind of like ragging on her for being vegetarian. And she said, I just don't want to put carcass in my body. I don't want to put a carcass in my body. And then they freaked out so bad because she said it like that, that they kicked her out. They bought her a plane ticket and she had to fly back to Arizona. Because like, they were just totally offended that she called that carcass a carcass. You know, I don't want to have carcass rotting inside me. I don't want to, you know, like a crematorium, as Padmanabhan Prabhu says. And it was like, you know, because that reality was such a strong hit for them that I'm not going to accept that I'm actually becoming a, you know, roadkill practically. Worse than roadkill. The roadkill decomposes in a few days. This stuff has been, you know, dead for days, weeks, you know. And so mode of goodness versus mode of ignorance right there. So what does mode of ignorance do when you challenge it? It becomes wrathful. Get out of my house. I don't want to see you anymore. So there's the futility. And then the last point I'll make, and then I'm going to do some reading. The futility of comfort. So we're all trying to find comfort in the material world. Oh, I'm so uncomfortable in the ashram. I can't. No comfort. No, yeah. I'm so uncomfortable in my job, and I'm so uncomfortable with this and that. We're always uncomfortable. Comforts with the senses. The senses are seeking comfort by whatever plans we're making. We're trying to seek comfort. And we're taking shelter. And we're taking shelter of the body to find comfort. Intoxicating, all kinds of addictions, sex, whatever. Taking shelter of the body. So they're seeking these things to avoid that discomfort we feel here. That's like the whole thing is we want to avoid the discomfort. That's why, you know, every 5 seconds, nowadays it's worse. And that discomfort has some advantage because we actually become a little creative in it and stuff. But now it's just dead because even if you notice, like, you know, movies and TV, like no one's creating anything new. They're remaking everything. Everything's just a remake now. Because no one has any time to actually be creative, because every time there's some discomfort, I got to look at my phone. Oh, there's a moment I gotta be distracted. Can't let that discomfort happen. I'm not gonna accept it. Gotta find something. Oh, 2 seconds free, but I look at my phone. Got to message someone. No, so you can't. I mean, this is psychological. Actually, you cannot be happy like that because dopamine's getting drained. Second off, we have to be creative. We're creative beings, actually, and you can't become creative if you're always distracting yourself. You're not going to think. And I don't mean just creative by like I got to do art, or but you know, even creating yourself, like self-improvement, is just stunning. And so then, you know, after all of that, in between times, I have my various events of, you know, sense enjoyment. You know, I got my shows, my events, my concerts, you know, all those different things, and my, you know, food. And so everything in that way, we are fully absorbed in the activities of Maya. So we won't find comfort, but when we realize that, you know, we become okay with being uncomfortable and realize that we're going to be uncomfortable at every moment, but let me not deviate from my spiritual consciousness. Let me continually engage in devotional service. Then we taste the spiritual ecstasy. And the spiritual ecstasy many times overrides that discomfort. Just like I did this intense leg kind of workout. I was thinking, I cannot dance tonight, you know, at the Sunday feast. It's impossible. Like, I'm not going to do it. You know, and then like, I couldn't even move, you know. I couldn't even walk practically. But then, you know, Kirtan starts chanting, and I start, you know, all of a sudden I'm fully dancing, and I'm, you know, pain is gone until after the kirtan, and the pain came back tenfold. The body's no fun. So we can't really even enjoy Krishna consciousness until we have a spiritual body. If you think about it, we got a kirtan in a spiritual body. So I wanted to read because we should be captivated. We should want to go to the spiritual world. We should want to be with Krishna. It should captivate us. Prabhupada says that. So I want to read the description of the abode of Sri Goloka. Just hope devotees have this taste, like, you know, like, let me become serious, because if you don't become serious about spiritual life, you will not go back to Godhead. It's a fact. You won't go back to Godhead. You'll take birth again. That's why we're here now. We didn't do it last life. So if we don't just become I don't mean you got to become a swami, you know. You don't got to become, you Haridas Thakur, but you chant your rounds, you take prasadam, you do service, you don't indulge in Maya. You actually have a desire to serve Krishna, Prabhupada, then you go back to Godhead. So I'll just read this. This is Narada speaking, describing a person who has a tongue but does not glorify glorious Sri Krishna is a fool. Even if he somehow approaches the staircase to liberation, he cannot climb it. Now I will describe to you Sri Krishna's coming to this earth during the Brahakalpa. O Lord, please hear what happened. Formerly, the earth, overcome with a burden of many ferocious Daityas, Danavas, and human kings, assumed the form of a cow, and helplessly crying, trembling, and describing her troubles, took shelter of the demigod Brahma. Brahma comforted her, and then, accompanied by Shiva and the demigods, went to Lord Hari's palace in Vaikuntha. Brahma bowed down before the four-armed Lord Vishnu and explained why he had come. Then he, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune, spoke to Brahma and the troubled demigods. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, without Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of countless universes, perfect, above the demigods and the enjoyer of transcendental pastimes, this problem will not be solved. You should go to his eternal and effulgent abode at once. Sri Brahma said, I do not know anyone greater and more perfect than you. If there is such a person, please show us him. Sri Narada said, when this was said, perfect Lord Hari showed all the demigods a spiritual river path flowing through the hole Sri Brahmana made in the universe with his toenail. So this is Narada speaking to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu showing them a way to go beyond Vishnu to Krishna. Going by boat on this path, the demigods left the universe. They saw the universe was like a round kutaja fruit below. When they saw the other universes were like many kuchaja fruits bobbing in the water of the Karna ocean, they all become frightened and surprised. Millions of yojanas higher, they came to 8 cities, charming with glistening jewel forest groves. Higher still, the demigods, the Vairaja river, splendid shore, which was splashed by waves, white as silk and glorious with many staircases. After seeing this, they entered a city, splendid as countless millions of suns. As they looked at its splendor, they became overpowered, their eyes struck by the light. By Lord Vishnu's order, Brahma offered obeisances to the light and meditated on it. In that circle of light, he saw the form of a peaceful, transcendental realm. When the demigods saw in that realm white lotus stem of the thousand-faced Lord Shesha, they bowed down to offer respects to him. On his lap was the transcendental realm of Goloka, which is worshipped by all the worlds, and which is the realm where time, the conqueror of the proud, does not prevail, and where illusion, the material mind, heart, intelligence, and ego, material transformations, and the Mahatattva do not enter. How can the modes of nature enter there? Their forms very beautiful, more beautiful than Kamadev himself. Sri Krishna's associates stood at the entrance. The demigods said, we, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, all the protectors of the planets and the demigods headed by Indra have come here to see Sri Krishna. Sri Narada said, have keepers, girls who were the Lord's friends, went inside the palace and told Sri Krishna of the visitor's wish. The girl named Satachandranaha was dressed in yellow garments, who held a stick in her hand, and who was Sri Krishna's friend, came from inside and asked the demigods what they wished. Sri Satachandrana said, all you demigods who have come here, of what universe are you the Lord at once? The demigods said, we have not seen any. We know only one universe. O beautiful one, there is no universe beyond ours. Sri Satachandrana said, O demigod Brahma, millions of universes bob up and down in the Karna ocean. As you are demigods in one universe, so in each universe there are many demigods. You do not even know their names. When did you even meet them? Never leaving your own homes, you remain happy with stunted minds. You know one universe. Living entities are born in many universes, like gnats and mosquitoes in many Undambara fruits. Sri Narada said, mocked in this way, the demigods were silent. Seeing them intimidated, Lord Vishnu spoke some words. Sri Vishnu said, we stay in the universe where the eternal Lord Prashinigarbha descended, the universe broken by Sri Trivikram's toenail. Sri Narada said, hearing this, she praised him for a long time, again and again. and entered the palace. Then returned and gave the demigod permission to enter. Then the demigod saw Goloka, or the king of mountains named Govardhan, which was filled with many cows and with gopis garlanded with forest flowers, and which was decorated with rasa dance circles as splendidly manifest, where the dark Yamuna river meandered as it wished at its shores, made with lapis lazuli steps and decorated with millions. Where the forest of Vrindavan, filled with splendid trees and vines and glorious with bees, colorful birds, and banyan trees, where Krishna played the flute and was splendidly manifest, where, carrying the pollen of many thousand petal lotuses, a cool breeze gently blew to the shore, where in the middle is the Lord's personal woodland of 32 forests, which is surrounded by walls and moats and endowed with a reddish courtyard of eternal banyan trees, a courtyard decorated with 7 walls made of rubies and with a glory of pearls from awnings like millions of moons, where there were splendid flags moving in the breeze, pathways that were flower places, and singings of many bees and many mad peacocks and cuckoos, where there were many women effulgent as 100 moons, wearing sunrise earrings, walking about as they wished, noticing their beautiful faces reflected in the jewels, running in the jewel courtyards, decorated with necklaces, bracelets, and tinkling ankle bells, and splendid with jewels in their hair, where at the door after door there were millions of beautiful cows, glorious as white mountains, decorated with glittering ornaments, young, full of milk, endowed with good character, virtues, and beauty, their nails yellow, personifications of auspiciousness, happiness as they walked about with their calves, decorated with a network of teeny bells, their bells and anklets tinkling, splendid with golden necklaces and flower garlands, their horns of gold, many different wonderful colors, some pink, some green, some red, some yellow, some black, some smoky, and some the color of cuckoos, describing Krishna's cows, giving oceans of milk, marked with the signs of youth, leaping like deer, beautifully decorated with many calves, where wandering among the cows were many great bulls, opulent with long horns and necks and very pious, where were many handsome cowherd boys carrying flutes, holding sticks in their hands, and with charming melodies singing Krishna's pastimes. Bowing down to offer respects, the demigods entered the Lord's personal forest grove, which was a 1,000-petal lotus that was a great circle of light. Above that was a 16-petal lotus, above that an 8-petal lotus, and above a path decorated with 3 stairways, which led to 3 beautifully decorated steps. There all the demigods saw Sri Krishna, sitting on a splendid throne, studded with beautiful Kaustuba jewels, and accompanied by Sri Radha, who was accompanied by 8 splendid gopi friends headed by Mohini, and served by 8 gopas headed by Sridham, who was served with diamond-handled chamaras, glorious as swans, and millions of parasols like millions of moons, whose left arm was decorated by Sri Radhika, whose right foot was bent as he wished, and who held a flute, who smiled gently and gracefully, whose eyebrows enchanted hosts of kamadevs, who was splendid as a rain cloud, whose large eyes were lotus petals, whose arms were long, who wore great yellow garments, whose neck was decorated with a beautiful garland of forest flowers, over which Vrindavan's intoxicated bees hovered, creating a buzzing sound, who was splendid with bracelets, anklets, and a belt, who had glittering, charming, very glorious smiles, and who was handsome with the mark of the Srivasta, and with a jewel placed in his curly lock of hair, and who was glorious with a crown, necklace, armlets, and earrings. Very happily, as if plunged in an ocean of bliss by seeing him, and her eyes, now filled with tears, with folded hands and bowed heads, the demigods offered respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shri 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 Goloka Vrindavan Dham Ki.
Were the cows those different colors?
Yeah.
What they were wearing?
The cows.
Cows themselves.
So the point is that there is a realm, Goloka Vrindavan. It's not just spoken about in one shastra, it's spoken about in many shastras. Very rarely achieved, the Brahma Samhita says. Very rarely achieved. And the special grace of this age, Namo Mahavandanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurata Namaha. Lord Chaitanya has appeared to give the highest to the lowest. Lord Chaitanya is Sri Radha herself, and she and Krishna have combined together to come and give access to this extremely rare level of spirituality, which is not tasted in any other age practically. one can enter into this Goloka. One can enter into this immense spiritual realm, which is very rare. And so we have this opportunity by chanting Hare Krishna to achieve it. And even more merciful than Lord Chaitanya is Srila Prabhupada, who is giving access in such an easy way. But it does take some dedication. It takes some desire. What do you desire? Now, if you have some intelligence, I mean, it takes some intelligence also. I mean, there's different levels here. That I don't have a desire, honestly. I don't desire it. But my intelligence tells me at least I should desire it. But if I don't have any intelligence either, I don't care. So Krishna says, fix your mind upon me. If you can't, then follow the rules and regulations of bhakti yoga and develop a desire to attain me. But if I don't have enough intelligence to follow the rules and regulations of bhakti yoga, then I'm in trouble. Now I better just do some work for Krishna. And I'll come to the perfect stage, but that doesn't mean you're going to come in this lifetime. And there's so many things beyond that. So, therefore, one should consider seriously my situation. And therefore, with intelligence and enthusiasm, move forward in our spiritual lives. Try to become more serious, more deep, and become excited and happy of our eminent entrance into pure devotional service. We have this opportunity. It's very sweet. And then, stop trying to be comfortable here. We're not going to become comfortable here in the material world. We can't become comfortable here. It's not a comfortable place. The body's uncomfortable all the time. The body's causing discomfort. Why should we try to make the body overly healthy, overly comfortable, overly this, overly that? Rather, we should spend time trying to cultivate this hearing and chanting, this access to this Goloka Vrindavan realm. And it's like we hear this verse, Kala dosha ide rajam asti yeko mahanguna kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha paramajat. In the age of Kali, one can go back to Godhead simply by chanting Hare Krishna. Just absorb yourself in this chanting. Chant without offense. So it's like that. It's like if someone gives you, there's the famous story. Sanatana Goswami, he had acquired a Chintamani gem, touchstone, which can turn anything it touches into gold. And some man had heard that, Sanatana has a touchstone. So he went to Sanatana and he said, I heard you have a touchstone. Can I have it? He said, yeah, it's over there in the trash. He went over the trash and he picked it up. He went away, I have a touchstone. And he realized, wait a minute, why is the touchstone in the trash? And he went to Sanatana and he said, my dear Prabhu, why is the touchstone in the trash? Well, it's garbage to me. Do you have something more valuable? And he said, of course. And so, can you give that, what's more valuable than the touchstone? Can you give it to me? He said, I'll give it to you, but you have to throw the Chintamani gem into the Jamuna. And so he did that, and he said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a Chintamani gem. It's more valuable than anything we have. It's the greatest gift. It's so nectar, but then we don't take it. We throw it in the trash. And we take the trash and we relish and dress up the trash. It's the opposite consciousness. So why not take that chanting seriously? At least our 16 rounds, we can take them seriously. And then even arguably even more valuable than the Maha Mantra, we get to associate with devotees. Rather I go associate with trash. Enjoy the trash. Devotees they challenge me too much. They make me actually think sometimes. I don't want to associate with devotees. I limit my association. I'd rather go, Asat Sangha. But you're not a devotee. Asat Syangatag. That's devotee actually. Asat Syangatag. I don't want to. I choose to be with spiritual elevating people. So the point is that there is a spiritual world, there's a material world. We're not happy here, we're uncomfortable here. We should tolerate it. We should just go forward with our service, chant. We're not going to get what we want in this world, that's for sure. So let us cultivate our attraction and desire to go to Goloka Vrindavan, to see Krishna, to serve Krishna. Any questions or comments? Janeshwar.
What was the book you were reading from there?
This is the Sri Garga Samhita, which is Krishna's biography, 5,000 years old also. Garga Muni was Krishna's priest, was the priest of the Yadu dynasty. Krishna has two gurus, really. Krishna's guru is Sandapani Muni, who's his guru. He lived with the Gurukul, we hear about in the Krishna book. And then Garga Samhita, who gave him a name-giving ceremony, also initiated him into the sacred thread. He was the priest of the Yadu dynasty. And so Sri Garga spoke this Samhita, which is the genuine biography of Krishna, and has all the pastimes and more in very deep detail of Krishna's life. And, how Krishna appeared and Kamsa and all these different things, how the demons appeared. And so we were just hearing how the demigods took the Ganges out of the universe and went to Goloka Vrindavan to speak to Krishna. And there's many descriptions of Goloka Vrindavan down in the book. So we have this opportunity to go there.
Thank you.
It's worth getting. Dhanavir Goswami's life work, actually translating it and commenting on it. Any other questions? Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Sri Garga Samhita ki, Sri Balaram Jayanti ki. I think tomorrow Dhira may